here we are.
Yes, peace.
I'm Gabrielle.
How's it going?
And I'm so
What's
thrilled
up, world?
to be
Jeghetto in the house.
here in the windows of the Automata Theater, where I've just been kind of playing with different ideas of living objects, Black material culture, archiving, interiors, exteriors, and I really wanted to have a chance to talk about race, performance, and representation with the one and only Jeghetto. Who's here, kind of rolling, riding in the car. But all right, for this little special Automata Black Motion Pictures Black Puppets edition, I'm still going to start with my usual question. Who are you today, and what do you do?
Today, I'm a puppeteer and a painter. I puppeteer, I create shows, I write, I build puppets. I used to tour before COVID, around the country doing workshops and performances at festivals and theaters and schools. Now I'm working on video production. So, converted my operation over to video. So I guess I'm a video producer / puppeteer / artist / painter today.
And what has the transition been like from all of that live touring when you had built up such an incredible network live? I mean, how has that transition gone then into this new sort of video virtual realm?
There's a learning curve because, I had to buy all new equipment and learn lighting and stuff, but I'm still learning that. But I got my 2 sons to help me out, with the production thing. So, it's just another challenge. I love a challenge. That's what fascinates me about puppetry, where I'll have, a project or an assignment to make, an animal or something, and the challenge is to make it look realistic. So I'm just doing that in front of a camera now. It's a little easier than live because I can edit, and take the best parts of the film, versus if I mess up live, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's not that big of a deal, but I enjoy challenges, so it is what it is.
You have a fairly broad range in terms of your repertoire, from highly realistic puppets to things that are more abstract. Would you say that that's true?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you have a preference there? Or?
I prefer abstract, but when I do commission work, I have to make the puppets realistic. Like the Frederick Douglass, that was a commission from a library. So I went in on the detail. But I prefer the abstract because I focus more on movement versus the realism, the way it looks.
And when you say that you focus on movement, what is the quality of movement that's most exciting for you as a puppeteer and puppet artist?
Just to make an inanimate object seem real to people. Even though it doesn't look real, just the movement, like, oh crap, from a distance, I thought that was a real dog.
Right.
Or have dogs react to my dog puppet. That's the ultimate, goal, test for me. Yeah. When I have dogs sniffing my puppet's tail to see if it's real, I think that's some bragging rights right there.
That realm of the real is exciting to me as a performance artist, but I feel like, I have these things around me because I've been meditating on this question of what is a living object? What what brings a sense of reality to something? And dolls can be very uncanny for people, even when they don't move, even when they know that they're not real, they can have a vibration to them.
Yep.
Do you find that also to be the case in your experience with dolls or with puppets?
I have a story about I did a show with some UNC drama students, and during the production, I was finishing up the puppets. We decided, for lack of time, and just to see what it would look like, we left the faces blank on the puppets. Ooh. And people were asking after the show, how do we get them to laugh and smile and frown? They were projecting faces onto the puppets.
Wow.
So that goes even deeper than being fooled by movement. They're projecting emotions and what they were feeling into the puppets. That's how deep people get pulled in.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that makes puppetry for me very exciting, in that there is a kind of emotional connection, a kind of emotional projection that for me is even, I feel, at times beyond the form of like object theater or manipulation, but can be on a spirit level, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
I think that that's where maybe my Haitian background, my mother will laugh at that because she's African American, but my Haitian background is where there'll be certain kinds of objects that they radiate from me in a particular kind of way, or the way that someone is using them. And so I'm interested as well in my own work about like, how do you activate an object? How do you take something that, you know, is inanimate? I mean, and for you, is that what makes the difference between an object and a puppet? Is it just the ability to animate or activate it? What is that difference?
It's the manipulation and being able to like project your energy through that object. Because I can take a piece of paper and twist it up and turn it into a puppet show. It's not really about the object, it's about the manipulation of that object.
Right.
And I've worked with a puppeteer named Tori Ben. She's a professor, and how she sees it, she says everything is a puppet. Like every prop in the show, she said, hand me that puppet. And it was just like a stick. And I was like, that's a stick. She said, it's a puppet. Or do you manipulate it? Well, it's a puppet. So I was like, told that, like, oh, okay. But she just broadened my definition of what puppetry is and what a puppet is.
Well, that intersects a lot with how I think about what I do with objects in the work that I make, where they're not props. I'm trying to activate them, to do something with them, to transform them and myself and the audience into something. Sometimes I'm successful and sometimes I'm not. And it really is not about the object itself. It's about me and my ability to raise the energy level to a space where that would be possible. So I feel I kind of vibe with that idea, although it's slippery to think about, and I'm trying to write about that right now. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to talk to you.
Okay.
We met at the Living Objects Symposium on African American Puppetry, which I think was, for me, still one of the most extraordinary gatherings of people I'd ever been to, because there were so many different kinds of, you know, puppet artists, puppeteers, scholars, performers, aficionados, fans of all ages. And I was just curious, I mean, as a person who presented on a panel and also performed, what was your experience like of that whole symposium?
To be around puppeteers who look like me for the first time, where we were the majority, was mind-blowing and magic. I'm gonna just say it like that. I'm used to being the only brother in the room, especially when, you know, come to puppetry. I mean, first the artist, any art form, basically, except, I mean, even rap now, it's like your audience is still, you know, like mostly, you know what I mean, white. So for us to be all up there together and to share our art and our knowledge in the symposiums and perform in front of each other. I mean, my Jim Crow puppet was born out of that experience.
Wow.
From meeting the Croatians and, you know what I mean, sitting on a symposium and just sitting with like-minded people and just being inspired. I mean, it was way more than puppetry.
Oh, it was
way more.
It was so much about building community and about connecting. I mean, what you just said, though, is important to tease out, too, that so often, I mean, you just talked about traveling all around the country, doing workshops, educating people, performing, and yet so often you'll be like the only brother in the room.
Yep.
Do you have any thoughts about that and about the relationship between puppetry as an art form and African-American communities or cultures?
I mean, well, once I found out that American puppetry was born out of the vaudeville era and minstrel, I'm like, I'm a black puppeteer who's doing a black art, like a racist art form.
Right.
So I'm going to take it and really run with it. You know what I mean? So I'm going to turn it up. And I'm actually have an original puppet from the vaudeville era gifted to me from a white puppeteer friend of mine named Hobie Ford. And he has all these old puppets, and he's seen that, the sandwich and the curly fries, the waffle fries.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Yeah, my bad. Yes, so I am actually going to start doing minstrel shows with original minstrel puppet.
Have you ever had the deluxe?
Oh, wait a minute. And are you just going to do them kind of directly and then have the irony exist in you doing it? Or how are you going to do that?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Repeat that, Gabrielle.
How are you going to do these minstrel shows with the original puppets? Are you actually going to do the material and just allow for the irony to land? Or
there's one puppet, and I had built a piano already. So I'm going to have an old school mic. He's going to play piano. He's going to tap dance and tell jokes, do stand up.
Whoa.
But he's going to do extremely racist jokes. And if you laugh, he can be like, "What you laughing at?" You know what I'm saying?
I had a performance work called Comedy and Other Work where I mixed up a bunch of racist jokes with language from romance novels and then had the audience laugh track, and everyone was very, people were a little distressed by that. But I mean, who do you imagine is the audience for that work? Because I think that on your website, for example,
you can never predict your audience.
What did you say about the audience?
I said you can never predict your audience.
So you're just gonna make it and see who's gonna come?
Yeah, because I have a show about a lynching.
Yeah.
And the audience is like always 80% white.
And I saw that on your website that you had this show. Where do you do it? Do you do it in your own workshop or do you rent out a space?
Well, I'm getting commissioned to actually film it. I've been wanting to film it, but I talked somebody into letting them pay me to do this. So, you know what I mean? So it's going to be in film. I'm going to do it probably in sepia and black and white, put the film noise over it to make it look authentic. And yeah, I'm going to turn the show into a short film.
That's amazing, because one of the questions of Black Motion Pictures has to do with how is Black performance marked or archived, and how often do you have an opportunity to really document your shows?
Yeah, I really don't record the shows, but now everything's changed. I'm thinking I have to convert everything over to video anyway, but people had told me, like fans walk up to me, they say, you know, your video stuff is cool. You know, it's dope on Instagram, but there's nothing like your live shows. Right. Like if people don't see it live, like they don't feel that magic that's involved in it. Yeah, it's the experience. So that's the difference between video versus film versus live shows.
I wanted to talk to you about that though, because there's something kind of amazing that happens in a live puppet show. So when I saw you perform the Frederick Douglass show, you are both there and not there in the show. Yep. And that's so often the case with puppeteers. I mean, there you are, you're in black. You're obviously, literally, we're watching you manipulate the puppet. But then you kind of dissolve as well. And I'm just curious, especially as a Black man, as a Black artist, as a Black puppeteer, what is that experience like of both being seen and not seen so visibly in the form?
Yeah. I used to work with this puppet theater here in North Carolina called Paper Hand Puppet Intervention. Like I said, only Black puppeteer in the whole troupe. We would do shows, and I would say, well, do you remember the show from last year? I say, well, I was this character. And they'd be like, wow, I didn't even notice that it was you. I'm like, I'm the only Black person on stage. You know, so how do you not notice the only Black person? But they were so pulled into the puppets that I disappeared.
Right.
Yeah.
And for you, is that part of the power of what puppetry can do?
Yes, that is the power. For you to tell a story and not be, how can I say?
People have to volunteer to get into the story.
Yeah, it's like, what's the word I'm looking for? Where you can look at a person and have some type of bias towards that person. You might not like the way their voice or their delivery, like a human actor. There's barriers where, you know, someone might not like a movie you did, or they might not like your face or your politics. But with a puppet, there's nothing that you can hold against the object. So once you realize that, you can do a lot more with a puppet than you can a human actor.
Wow.
So that's how I see it. That's been my experience anyway.
I'm going to do like a very funny Zoom thing. I don't know on your phone if you're going to be able to see it, but I'm actually going to share my screen. And just so people have not had a chance to see the range of what you are up to, I just want to show your website because it is very, and it really does show your work, music video.
My wife designed my website, by the way.
Well, first of all, I want to lift up the fact that you have a true family business, so that today you're a puppeteer and a painter, but you're also an entrepreneur and you're a family man. And I feel like that's something that's very well represented in this website as well, because we have an opportunity. This is powerful. The mental slavery installation. Oh,
that installation was fun. I didn't know I can pull it off. I just agreed to it. When I got home, I was like, how am I going to do this? You know what I'm saying? But ended up, like you said, the challenge thing. I just had to pull it off, so I did it. But that room, it's a condemned building. No one was allowed in the building, so I rigged pulleys with fishing line to the puppets, and you stood in the doorways and you pulled the different parts that were labeled, and we were able to make the installation move.
Let's watch it for a little bit, actually.
Okay, cool.
Because I feel like that'd be so awesome. That was really, really dope. And
you know the backstory on that installation, that's Dorothea Dix Park in Raleigh, North Carolina. It's a former plantation, the biggest plantation in Raleigh, and then in the early 19th century, they converted it into a mental institution.
Oh wow!
So hence the word mental slavery, because it was a mental institution and it was a slave plantation. So I merged the two, and that's what I came up with. I have it's a story of a white girl that sees the ghosts of the slaves, and she sees them as monsters.
Wow. Oh, wow. Do you always come up with those kinds of narratives, even for things that are more abstract?
Yep.
Yeah.
It depends on if I'm doing a production or just building a puppet. Sometimes there'll just be I want to build a cute puppy to make children laugh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or then I'll come up with, I need to build a puppet show about a lynching. And I'm all over the place.
Well, you just synthesize different ideas. One thing that really struck me about the Middle Slavery installation was just the way that it offered an opportunity for people to activate and really see how they are kind of complicit in whatever's going on there. Thought that was interesting. And it made me also think about the idea of motion pictures and like, how is something in motion, or what makes something a Black motion picture? And that is a phrase that is sort of a framework for the whole series that I'm interested in. And so when I say that phrase to you, you know, Black motion picture, what is a Black motion picture to you as a puppeteer and a painter?
Just a Black person telling a Black story instead of somebody else writing about a Black character. I don't think that Black actors should even be in roles written by white people. It's that bad, because you'll see something like nobody Black would have ever said or did that. You know what I'm saying? You know that was a Caucasian man who wrote that with a Black character in mind. But, you know, some Black actors can take that role and tweak it, and, you know, if they have some type of creative freedom, they can tweak it to make it look realistic. But most of the time, it's like, come on, man. You know what I mean?
So for you, authenticity and authority and like the ownership, that's important for you.
Yeah.
In terms of the kind of work. And especially if we're thinking about something that is calling itself Black, for you, it really needs to have kind of Black writers, Black performers, Black creative collaborators, and not just one person at the end as a representative like an actor, but you are invested in it being all the way through. That's what I'm hearing you say. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, just the writing. And the crew, they're going to be all white, whatever, but long as the story is written by Blacks, where it can be it can be translated to film and still keep that authenticity. Because, you know, you need the best person to do the job, whatever, no matter what they look like. But as long as the writing is, you know, coming from a soul, then yeah, that's a Black production to me.
That's so interesting. I mean, and especially as a writer myself, to think about like what writing is, or how, I mean, for me, I'm always thinking about what writing can't cover, or how it slips, or like what can't be said, and how to get into a realm, how to express the unexpressible. Yeah, something to think about. I want to talk to you about legacy. This is another thing, because I read in that wonderful Indie article about your son as a puppeteer, and I think your son also has his own Instagram. Is that right?
Yes, he does. Turns puppets on Instagram, killing it.
What does it mean for you to actually share the art of puppetry with your children?
I don't know if I can say sharing it, because I'm doing it and he just embraced it. And he's just as serious as I didn't push anything on him. You know, so I just was doing my thing and he showed interest, so I took him in. It wasn't like, oh, I hope my son's a puppeteer and I want my kids to follow in my footsteps. I'm like, I want my kids to be as unique as possible. He just so happened to be into the puppetry as well, which I thought I was doing it for me, but I was really setting him up.
Right. And he's
so as far as
of your kids so far that's really expressed that level of interest.
Yep. My daughter, she just turned 7. She's done a couple performances with puppetry. She starts building her own puppets. So maybe she will, maybe she won't. But I have a 17-year-old too. He's into acting and film. So, you know, he helps with filming and stuff, but he doesn't puppeteer. Unless, you know, I need him to do a scene for him for filming.
Do you have them all help making with the toys?
Yeah. I have a commercial. My teenager, he cuts the wood. My son drills the holes. My daughter does the wood stain. They throw them together. And my wife does the, the mailing and the order taking, all the managing part.
And I think
family operation.
Beautiful family operation. Just a couple more questions. I mean, I think you talked about how puppetry came from this sort of legacy of vaudeville, minstrelsy. Although, I mean, one could argue that Hollywood came from that. The radio came from that.
Yeah.
All pop culture came from that. Do you feel that sometimes there's an unfair onus on puppetry, or that there's an unfair kind of grudge against puppetry when all these other cultural forms, popular cultural forms, also come from similarly racist, the same racist roots, really? Because
everything in this country is founded on racism. If you dig deep enough, it has some racial beginnings or undertone or some type of history connecting to it. You know, I told people, if you're going to, protest and boycott everything that's connected to racism and white supremacy, you're going to be naked and hungry. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. But, you know what I mean? You have to be completely, independent of all things.
When you were coming up, because you actually started to manipulate objects. I mean, I read that you were making arrows out of popsicle sticks. When you were coming up, did you ever get teased for your interest in being a puppeteer?
I was the cool nerd. You know what I'm saying? I was good at sports, so I played on teams. We picked up street games, and I had a giant family with a whole bunch of crazy cousins, so nobody messed with me anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like three or four of my cousins had crazy in front of their name. There was Crazy Mike, Crazy Billy, you know what I'm saying? So I never had to worry about getting bullied and whatnot. But, I mean, that being said, I was cool enough to be cool, but nerdy enough to be a nerd.
Well, it's a gift to be a nerd, because I feel like being a nerd is about digging way deep into something.
Exactly.
Creating your own world and building your own reality and making things and dreaming up possibilities and not doing what everybody else is doing and coming up with another version. I mean, even in terms of like an authentic Blackness or an authentic Black story. The thing that's been exciting for me is seeing the range of stories of Black creatives, and even at Living Objects, when we saw, you know, between Pandora Gaslam's sort of puppet show about New Orleans in the 19th century, and then we had
that was great.
and his daughters, and the thing that they were doing that was political, and then you had the whole gospel puppet shows that were like totally with their spirit, and then we had what was his name? It's just slipped my mind. Ghost Frog, David.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, David. I'm gonna get it together, but I just loved the range there, and I was a little sad too that it felt like a lot of people had kind of heard of each other a little bit, but there hadn't really been a crystallized community. Like puppeteers. And so now Living Objects is already it's like a year and a half old. I mean, and does it seem you are deep in the community right now, or you're deep in the world of making puppets? I've
worked with the best, and I'm like so honored to be neck and neck with all the puppeteers that I looked up to, couldn't wait to meet. And when I went to the international festival in Minnesota, I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to meet this person. They see me and be like, Jeghetto. And I'm like, oh shit, like, am I on that level? You know what I'm saying? That I've discovered that I was in the I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and say it, the puppet royalty. I mean, I've befriended Heather Henson. Like, I hung out with with her like 3 festivals. You know what I mean? Like, and people, the puppeteers are so humble and modest. They don't brag about their work. You know what I'm saying? You'll be with somebody, they've been they worked as Miss Piggy for 5 years and never even say nothing, or worked on a movie set, and you have to ask them, well, what do you do? Like, oh, well, I did this and that. You be like, holy shit. You know what I'm saying? I love your work.
So there's a ton of modesty is what I'm hearing you say, just in general.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about the community piece. I mean, I think that part of the reason why I'm still trying to talk about Living Objects is because Schroeder Cherry, who worked on the very first African-American puppetry exhibit back in 1993, I was talking to him and it was like, well, what happened between 1993 and 2018? And I think people were just doing their thing, but I feel nervous. Is it going to be another 25 years before people come back together? I mean, or is that almost just the nature of doing that kind of work? I mean, I'm asking this as a person who really...
I'm still connected with everybody from the festival. I mean, I just did a symposium like with some Edna and Paulette. So
And
yeah,
Paulette Richards, shouting out to all of them.
everybody with my Baltimore crew. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So everybody from there, from that festival, I've seen again since then at different festivals, and we still stay in touch.
So what I'm hearing you say is that the community is still, because I mean, I still talk to Kelly.
Yeah,
Still talk
exactly.
To
Yeah.
So it is still there. Do you feel that there's a need to have another big event, or is it more important for you to keep trying to meet up at the individual kind of?
I mean, it wouldn't hurt,
you know, because it's the coronavirus now. But
yeah, I mean, either way, I mean, it feels good to actually be physically in each other's space and to hang out, and not only to learn from each other, but to hang out and party.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And dance with Frederick Douglass puppets. You know what I'm saying?
I danced with the Frederick Douglass puppets. I certainly did. And I enjoyed it. And I was sending
That's what I'm saying. Like, that was the best part. You know what I mean?
And also that you said that when you saw Brad Brewer and the quotations, that all of a sudden that really sparked, and the next thing you know, you made a Jim Crow puppet. Or next thing you know, I mean, so that's the kind of cross-pollination, or like, Kelly and I, we wrote something together. There's all these things that can happen when people come together. My last question for you, when you're thinking about performances, I mean, in Black or otherwise, like what is a performance or, you know, performances that have really moved you, that really have taken you to the next level?
There was a brother from Mexico. I can't remember his name. He did this show at the National Festival. It's called Dante's Inferno. And it was the story of Dante, but it was a Mexican immigrant who left his family and all his children back in Mexico. He got caught up in a fast life, and he had a yellow Hummer. He crashed and was in a hospital and, you know, injured, and he about his family. And so the 7 demons came to visit him. Craziest puppet show ever. It was, I mean, he took the puppet, he built this, it was a cube out of metal, and he had hooked it up to where when you touch it, it makes like this crazy, like screeching sound. And he was torturing the puppet, and it really felt like somebody's being tortured. And after this whole show, he walked up to the mid-center stage. He held up a picture of a little girl who died on the border and said, "I did all this just to get your attention for this last 2 minutes. Her name is so-and-so. She died, this and that and that." And he dropped the photo and walked off the stage.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Destroyed everybody. There's one woman I knew, she said she walked to the bathroom, went into the stall, sat on top of the toilet, and cried. That's how deep the show was.
I'm feeling goosebumps on my body right now.
Yeah, that's how deep. I was like, he made my lynching show look like an episode on Sesame Street. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I got to step my game up.
But it makes me think of a couple things. It makes me think of the traditional idea of yoga, like you go do through all those exercises so you can meditate. Like originally that was supposed to get your mind right and focused. So this idea, the puppet show, all of that was actually to get you to the point where he could show that one thing. And see, that's why I've been thinking a lot about photos. Like is a photograph an object or not? You know, or what can you do? But the idea that it was a photo and that then he said something like cast a spell, and then he dropped it, which is manipulating it, turning it into a puppet, and then dropped the mic and left.
Yep.
I mean, that's super.
And left.
That's super powerful.
I was traumatized from the show. I ain't gonna lie.
But something happened, you know, for you.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And like after a few minutes, you know, everybody was it was just so awkward. Everybody was uncomfortable. So then he like came back from stage like 15 minutes later. I just walked up straight up to him and just hugged him and just nodded my head like, yeah, good shit.
Well, I mean, what that also would probably have taken out of him to do. I mean, do you ever feel drained from your puppet?
Oh, exhausting.
Yeah.
Just the research that I had to do for the lynching show, I just had to walk away from the computer and just go walk in nature and just exhale. It was ridiculous. The savagery of this country's history is so profound. There is no bottom to it. There's no bottom. Once you think you found the most wicked act, there's one that just makes that one look, it just doesn't end.
So wait, I lied. I have to ask one more question, and it is about the lynching show.
Yep.
What did kind of inspire you to make that show? Especially because I would imagine, and from what I'm hearing, what I'm hearing is that it was hard to do the research for that show. It was hard emotionally to do that show. So
Yep.
why do it?
I had a vision of a humanoid puppet in a dark room hanging from a tree with a spotlight on it. But half my puppets are from visions that I have. I see it in my third eye and I have to make it. And then I build the show and then everything happens out of that.
That's so powerful. How long is the show?
About 25 minutes.
25 minutes. And I saw on the website if people are interested in booking that show, are you still doing it? Like a video version or a virtual version?
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'll make it happen. I have to, see what they're looking for, but I make arrangements to do it live, a Zoom, or, send them the film when I finish the film.
You also did, was it Pinocchio as well? I mean,
Yep.
are your shows still kind of in repertoire? I mean, if there's something that you've done in the past, or generally speaking, after you've made a show and toured it for a while, do you retire it?
No, I still have the puppets. As long as I still have the puppets, I'll do the show again. I think it's timeless.
Yeah.
Because nothing's dated. Because the Pinocchio show, it's Afrofuturism, so it's
Right.
distant future. And then, just another lynching is dated in 1921. So I call them docu-puppetries.
Right. I mean, and it'd be interesting to pair that also with the minstrel puppet show. And to have those be together. And what are you calling the minstrel puppet show? Is it basically just minstrel puppet show? Is that the name?
It's just going to be a minstrel show. Yeah, one-man show. Stand-up comedy, piano, and tap dancing.
That's powerful. Well, maybe Steve Harvey will bring you back, and you could show that on TV.
Oh, I'll send you a sneak peek. His name is Nigarachi.
Oh, come on.
And he has this like real fancy jacket on. It's crazy. my man, I tell him, he's falling out.
Like Spike Lee's Bamboozled.
Nigarachi plays the piano.
Thank you so much for letting me just be on the ride along with you as you go off. And what are you all painting, actually? Are you doing a mural?
No, I'm just painting the outside RV, trying to sell it, so we're making it look pretty.
All right.
Because I'm a contract painter too. I used to paint houses, interior, exterior, drywall repair.
That's the stuff I'm thinking about, interiors and exteriors, but I can't do any repair work, sadly.
Yeah.
I don't have.
That's funny because I'm a trained painter, and that helps me out with my mural work.
Yeah.
Because I can, know how much paint I need and all that, and the coating and. Yeah, so it helped me a lot with my murals. Everything's connected.
Everything's connected. Thank you so much for the opportunity just to chat with you a little bit and hear your perspective on all these things.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it really feeds into the work I'm doing here in the Automata Theater here in Chinatown in Los Angeles. So, okay,
nice.
Again, take care.
All right.